I'm sure you've heard that love is the most powerful force in the universe. It sounds good, right? But what happens if you take that step to be loving and all you get in return is people walking all over you? Does love really solve your problems? That's what we're going to take a look at today. Coming up. Welcome to the Power of Quiet, showing you how to clean up your negative thinking so you can achieve your goals more easily, more consistently, and live an awesome life. And if you want to live an awesome life, then make sure that you're subscribed to the channel and that you have the bell notification hit, because every single video that we release here shows you step by step how to be awesome. Not just talk about it, but shows you so you can prove it for yourself and get real world results. Now, today, let's talk about love and the power of love, because I'm sure you've heard that love is the most powerful force in the universe. And it sounds good, right? But let's be honest. How much are you really proving that out? I mean, is your life completely free of problems? Do you still have disagreements and fights with people? Do you still have situations where people take advantage of you? Then in your reality, let's just be perfectly honest. This isn't a reality for you. That love is so powerful. Now I bring this up because I've heard this from a lot of people that say, yeah, well, I'm stepping out, I'm being loving, I'm being giving, like towards my family, and all I get is grief in return. They just take advantage of me, they walk all over me, they give me a hard time. And if love is so great, why am I not reaping the benefits of it? And this is a very honest and sincere question. Because, it's one thing to talk about these ideals, but if you can't prove them, then talking about them does no good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about it a little bit. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a story with you to kind of show you my realization when I first stumbled upon the reality that love is very powerful, that it can eliminate problems immediately, magically. But I'm not just going to just say it. I want to share with you a real life experience and show you how I came to that conclusion and how you can look within yourself and reach the same conclusion yourself. All right? Now, this goes back to my very first year of learning how to release. And I'd learned how to use it for almost a year up until I went to my first 7-day retreat. And by that point, I was already getting involved with helping my teacher. I was very interested in this work and I wanted to, give to it, do more for it. So I was volunteering, and I'd volunteer to help host this retreat near where I lived. It was out in the countryside from where I lived in Texas. And so my teacher came in and I picked him up from the airport, we had lunch, then drove him out to the retreat center, and it was like an hour and a half outside of the city, out into the hill country in Texas. And we had the most incredible 7 days. And if you've ever been on a releasing retreat, you know how powerful it is, because you're spending the whole 7 days without any distraction other than getting down to work, doing exercises to bring up negativity out of the subconscious, making it conscious so you could see it and then dump it. And doing this for 7 days. If you've done it before, you know this. If you haven't done it, you may not realize it. But doing this work for 7 days, you literally let go of lifetimes worth of negativity. Not just one lifetime, but lifetimes worth of negativity. And from day 1 to day 7 or day 9, however long the retreat is, there's a night and day difference from when you enter and then when you leave. So at the conclusion of this retreat, I was just a completely different person. I was on top of the world. I was so peaceful, so positive, so clear. And now it's time to go home. So I'm driving my teacher back to the city, the hour and a half drive back. And as I'm driving, he's sitting in the passenger seat and he's reading all of the testimonials and gains that people wrote down about what they achieved, accomplished during that week. And I'm driving along and I'm kind of in a daze, really. And as I'm just driving along on this country highway, it's just like a 4-lane highway, 2 lanes in each direction, not a big highway, just not an interstate, just a little country highway. I glance over to the median in the middle and I see a police car there. And then I glance over at my speedometer and I'm doing over 30 miles above the speed limit. I'm sailing. I didn't even realize how fast I was going. But I was like, oh my gosh. And then I look back at the police officer at the car and I see he's rolling out. And I'm going, oh no. And sure enough, he pulls in behind me, turns on his lights, and okay, I start pulling over. Now my teacher is sitting in the passenger seat, reading the gains there, and he looks up and says, why are you pulling over? I said, police officer's behind me. He says, he's telling you to pull over? I said, yeah. He goes, just love him. And then he goes back to reading the gains. That's all he said. It's like so matter-of-factly. And I go, okay, I'll do that. Now, I pull over, and this guy walks up to the car. And if you can imagine the most stereotypical, by-the-book, lawful, Texas country sheriff that you could imagine, this was it. Like, the mirrored aviator sunglasses, the stern expression. In fact, he even walks up to the car. He stands sideways behind the door pillar to shield himself, and he even has his gun or a hand next to his gun. And he asked me to roll down my window. He goes, you know how fast you're going? And I said, yeah, I was going pretty fast. In fact, I was going so fast that legally he could take me to jail for reckless driving. That's how fast I was going. Now, I was sweating bullets. Now, he asked me for my driver's license. I handed it to him. He asked me for my insurance. And I'm about to hand it to him, but I can't find it in my wallet. I'm going, where is it? And I'm thinking, I'm supposed to love this guy, and how can I get his approval if I can't even give him all the documentation? So I'm starting to stress out a little bit. And then he says, oh, just keep looking for it. And he walks away and he takes my license back to his car so he can pull up my information and all that stuff. And I'm left there going, oh, okay, where's my insurance? And I'm looking. And I caught myself because I'm going, wait, I'm supposed to love this guy. And I'm just looking frantically around for my insurance and, well, I'm just wasting time. Let's just get back on track and focus on loving him. So I'm loving. But I noticed something. I'm not really connecting with loving him. And then I noticed something else, that there's something that's blocking me from loving him. I've got a bunch of fear that's coming up. Is it going to take me to jail? Or if not, how much is this going to cost me? This could be thousands of dollars because I'm going so fast above the speed limit. And if I don't have my insurance, what's his response going to be? Is he going to, make me go to court and have to produce it? Or am I going to have to pay an extra fine? Oh my gosh. And basically, those are the thoughts, but the feeling of fear was so palpable that it was literally like a wall, a block. And I saw that. It's like, well, how can I love him if I have this fear in the way? Especially if I'm fearing him. Like, what's he going to do to me? What's he going to say to me? If I'm fearing him, obviously that's preventing me from loving him. So I focused now on letting go of the fear. That's my job one right now. It's just let this go. So I just open up and like a chimney stack, I'm just dumping out this fear, just letting it billow out more and more and more. Just keep letting it go. And I don't know how long I was doing this. Probably about 10 minutes or so while he was back there looking up all my info. And then he walks back. And by this time now, I've let go of enough fear that I actually start feeling the love behind it. I'm starting to genuinely connect with the love. And now I'm feeling at ease, more peaceful. I'm not so worried about what he's going to say. But he walks up to the window, and surprisingly, he didn't ask me about the insurance. I was expecting that's going to be his very first question. Did you find your insurance? He didn't say that. He just shoves a clipboard in through the window with a sheet of paper on it. And then I'm looking at it because I'm scanning through to see what the infraction is, to see, well, what's the damage here? And I found it, and I look at it, it's like, wait, what? And what he had under the infraction was Speedy, S-P-E-E-D-Y, with a smiley face. Now this, again, if you could imagine the most lawful, by-the-book sort of Texas country sheriff, having him write Speedy with a smiley face on the infraction, it's like, what? How much is that? And he just smiled at me. He goes, oh, I'm just going to give you a warning. Just be safe and go along your way. So I said, oh, thank you. That was it. I mean, he just completely turned around. And, you know, the way that he was, who he was, and definitely the way I felt initially, that was something that was totally impossible. But the thing is, I discovered that I couldn't just decide to be loving. And I think that's what a lot of us try to do when we hear that love is so powerful, is that we get it mentally, and then we mentally think that we are being loving. But if we're really honest with ourselves, we can look within and we can see that we're blocked from doing that in all sorts of ways. And it's that block that is getting us results other than something good in return for being loving. So that's what I found was that fear. I let the fear go. It lifted that block. The love came out, and the problem immediately corrected itself. Now, incidentally, I discovered another huge insight from this experience in that I am responsible for everything that I experience and everything that I create. This is another thing that we hear from Lester's teachings and from others, other masters, is how, we are a creative entity, that we create everything around us. Everything is our creation. Now we hear that, but obviously we can't create everything that we choose to have. We create a bunch of problems. We have obstacles and lack. So yeah, we hear it, we agree with it, we say it ourselves, that we are a creative entity. But if we can't prove it, then deep inside, either we have a block or we just flat out don't believe it. Now, I got to really see how this works for myself because what I saw was when I was driving back to the city and back to my normal life after being away for a whole week, doing releasing, getting positive, being in this nice, safe, loving space that we were having this retreat at. Now I'm going back home to all my problems, all of my lacks, and that I was not feeling very safe about. In fact, what became clear to me is that I literally stopped myself from going home in the form of appearing an officer to pull me over, even take me to jail, so I wouldn't have to go back and face my real life. So that fearfulness, that lack of safety, was something that wasn't obvious to me. It was just kind of there underneath the radar, but it was operating. And I literally created that situation to stop myself from going back to the world. And once I saw that, it just was clear. I created that. And it was so clear because, once I saw it, I was in that situation, then I was faced with that fear I was suppressing, holding inside. And then I had that choice right then and there to either let the fear go or ignore it, brush it away, or just, intellectually rationalize that I'm okay. But I took the choice to let that fear go, to just bring it up. I mean, come on up, right there, and let it go in huge quantities. And then, as it was letting go, it really became clear what that fear was all about. I didn't want to go back to all of my problems, all the dangers of living in the real world. But it was just all fear. It was just all a feeling. And when I let it go, I was just right back into that nice, peaceful space, seeing more clearly who I am and my beingness, and knowing that that beingness cannot be touched, and that there was nothing at all wrong with going back into the world. In fact, that was a good thing, because if there's anything in the world that can stir me up, bring up fear, bring up anger, whatever negativity, that I have this tool to keep releasing, keep using it, to let go of that negativity as soon as I see it. And that realization just sunk in and said, all right, let's take it on. Let's meet the world with courageousness now. And from that point forward, I really was set to move forward with this method and do great things with it. So with that being said, let's do some great things. Let's do some releasing together. Let me show you how you can remove the blocks that are stopping you not only from loving authentically, but also seeing the benefits, seeing how when you're loving, that you are in a powerful position, that you are in a realm of abundance, that only good things come your way when you're loving. So think about a situation, or think about a person that is not treating you so nicely in your life. Maybe it's a family member, maybe it's someone from where you work, where you do business, maybe it's a customer, or just somebody that maybe you're being nice and you're being accommodating, you're doing your best to be giving, to be loving, and no matter what you do, they just treat you like dirt, or they make life difficult for you, or they give you a hard time. See if there's anybody like that in your life. Now, when you think about this person, and you think about the situation, and maybe you're doing your best, but it just isn't working out your way, just close your eyes for a second and bring your attention to your stomach or chest now. You see, from the neck up, all that mind is a recording and playback machine. You notice that? All it does is it records everything and then it plays it back to you, whether you want to listen to it or not. So if somebody treated you wrong in your life, notice what your mind does is it plays it back to you. Oh, you know what they did, you know what they said, Oh, that's not fair. They're such a jerk. Why don't things go my way? It just keeps talking about it, pointing it out. It doesn't shut up. You see, from the neck up, all it does is it records and it plays back, but it doesn't erase anything. Where you can erase that negativity and just that ongoing noise that gets you nowhere, where you can erase it is from your stomach or chest. So just close your eyes. Even put your head down towards your stomach or chest, just so you can direct your attention there. And notice if you feel a tight, contracted, clenching feeling there in your stomach or chest. You notice that? Now, open up an imaginary door right in front of that energy, right in front of that contraction, wherever it is that you feel it. Just right in front of it, open up a big door. And imagine that energy, because that's all it is, just like a tight, contracted ball of energy. Whatever that looks like to you, just imagine that energy going right on out the door now. Imagine it leaving. And imagine it leaving even more. And 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 imagine it leaving even more. And even more. Whatever it looks like to you. Whether it looks like smoke moving out that door, or light, or inky blackness, whatever. Whatever it looks like to you, there's no wrong way to do this. Just imagine it going right on out the door. And let that energy leave even more. And even more. And even more. And open up that door even more, even wider. And just let that energy just keep moving out. And even more. And notice how that feels. Does it feel a little bit lighter? Now that's all we're looking for. It's just a lighter feeling. And if you notice that, that's showing you that you're moving in the right direction. And doesn't that feel nicer? Right? And look how easy it is. Just opening up, letting it go. See, it's a difference between suppressing your feelings, which just keeps you holding on. And these feelings, when you suppress them, you push them down to the subconscious, and they interfere with everything. You know, with your relationships, with your ability to make money in your life, with your health, with your general happiness and satisfaction in life. And when you suppress them, you keep yourself stuck that way, in that state of negativity. But now, just by opening up, you're letting it go, and now open yourself up to the flow. And that lighter feeling is showing that you're moving towards positivity, into the realm of abundance, into a very high energy. Now, since you feel a little bit lighter, let's take a step further. And take a look at what you've been doing. Like maybe you've been, doing your best to be nice, to be accommodating, to not oppose or obstruct the other person, to be loving, to be giving, but you're not getting anything in return. You're not getting the results. And see if that is leaving you frustrated, maybe. Like, well, why isn't this working out? Why do they keep doing that? I'm giving my best, but They're just walking all over me. Notice that. And notice if you're wanting to change the results that you're getting. Or maybe you're getting frustrated with yourself. Like, why can't I do this right? I know Lester must be telling the truth, but why can't I prove it out? And maybe you're beating yourself up for that. Basically, getting frustrated. And what does that frustration tell you? It tells you that you're wanting something out of this exchange. So that love that you're supposedly giving isn't unconditional. It's coming with strings attached. You're being loving so that you can get a result. Now let me just go back to my story. Now, when my teacher said, hey, just love him, I thought that was a great idea. It's like, hey, that sounds nice and easy. It's pretty effortless. I don't have to do anything, just love. And I get a result that I like. Now, initially, I wasn't getting anywhere doing that, except when I found the fear there. Then I had to shift my focus. Then it wasn't so much about what can I get out of this, but instead now it's what do I need to do to get rid of my own negativity, this fear. And that's what I focused on. And that, in a way, I stumbled into a selfless act, just letting go of my negativity, my fear. But initially, I was wanting something. I was going to be loving as long as you let me off the hook, right? As long as I get my way, then I'll be loving. Now, if you have these strings attached, how loving is that? Really? That's not loving at all. So, take ownership of that. Take responsibility for that frustration that you have. If you're frustrated, then there's part of you that's not loving. And obviously, if you're trying to follow the example of Lester Levenson or any of these other masters, obviously right there, you see it. You're off. So bring up that frustration. And measure it on a scale of 0 to 10 right now. 10 being the most frustrated about what you're getting in return, and 0 being the least frustrated, like not frustrated at all. Just measure yourself on a scale of 0 to 10. All right, you got that? Now, wherever that frustration is, just look at that frustration and say yes to that frustration. Say yes to it so it can leave. Because notice what happens usually when that frustration comes up. You don't like it, right? It doesn't feel good. It feels harsh. It feels negative. It feels like it's something that's in your way, like, get this out of here. I can't cope with the world while I'm frustrated like this. So we say no to the frustration. We push it down. But when you push down the frustration, when you say no to it, does that make the frustration go away? No. It keeps coming up again and again and again forever. So if saying no doesn't get rid of the frustration, let's do something different. Can you say yes to it so that frustration can leave? Can you say yes to that frustration? And can you say yes to that frustration even more? And can you say yes to that frustration even more? And can you say yes to that frustration even more? And can you say yes to it even more? And even more. And could you say yes to that frustration even more? And even more. And even more. And even more. And even more. And never mind the story. Never mind that person, that situation. Just focus on that feeling of frustration that you feel about it. And that frustration is just a feeling right now. See, the situation, that person, they're not in the room with you, probably, right? It's just you're imagining it, but you have a feeling. And that feeling is the only thing that's in the now, right now. It's just a feeling. So set that story aside. Focus on the frustration. Just say yes to it. And more. And even more. And even more. And say yes to it even more. Now, measure yourself again and see if you moved on that scale of 0 to 10. Notice the difference. And notice if you feel a little bit lighter. Right? Just like when you opened up that door and you let that energy out. You feel even lighter now? All right? And this shows you that you can just let that frustration go. You don't have to fight with it. You don't have to bottle it up, save it for another day. You just let it go. And guess what? When you let it go, whatever frustration you do let go of is gone permanently. Now, there might be some more there. Sometimes you say, oh, well, it came back. No, it didn't come back. There's more there. And whenever it comes up, you just keep letting it go, just like that. How easy is that? But now, let's go even further. You see, that frustration was coming from you wanting something out of that situation. And you weren't getting what you're wanting. That's why you're feeling frustrated. And again, if you're doing a loving act in order to get something in return, that's not really love. That's a transaction. And see, when you don't get your share of the transaction, then the frustration comes out. And that frustration, in a way, that's hate. Like you hate what happened. You hate that person. Be honest. And that right there is a definite clue you're not really being loving. So no wonder you're not really getting the results. So get in touch with that want. You know, that want of what you get in return. And feel that want. And just notice how that feels when you're wanting something from that person. Or you're wanting that situation to change. Just feel that want, that need. It's a neediness, right? It's a very icky, uncomfortable feeling to want something. And this shows you how negative it is to want. Now, who's doing that? Whose decision is it right now to want something in return? What's in it for me? That's your decision, isn't it? If it's your decision to want something, then you have total power right now to turn that around. And if wanting something is just leaving you feeling needy, lacking, icky, negative, then could you let that go? And it's your decision. So the simple answer here is yes or no. Because if you're doing it, it's just a choice, yes or no. Can you let that go? Let go of wanting something in return. Yes or no? Now, you might be struggling with your mind. It's like, I want to say yes, but I really can't. Now, just to make it easy to say yes, notice, you're not getting what you want anyway, right? Right? You're doing all the things and you're wanting it. You're wanting things to go your way. And after all, who doesn't want things to go your way, right? We all want, to have harmony. We want to have ease and abundance in our life. But wanting it isn't getting it for you. So you got nothing to lose. Right now, could you just let go of wanting it? Yes or no? And can you let go of wanting the result in return? A little bit more. Yes or no? And can you let go of wanting something in return? A little bit more. And let that wanting go a little bit more. And let that wanting go a little bit more. And let that wanting go a little bit more. And let it go a little bit more. And a little bit more. Now just notice how you feel. Just notice if you feel a little bit lighter. By making the simple decision, yes, I can let go of wanting. You notice that? Again, this is showing you that you're moving in the right direction. Now, can you let go of wanting to have a favorable result for your favor? And can you let that go a little bit more? And a little bit more. And how do you feel now? Do you feel a little bit more at ease? More peaceful? Now, can you just decide to be happy regardless of how they respond? If they appreciate you, that's great. If they don't, if they hate you, if they give you a hard time, can you be just as happy either way? And can you decide to be happy despite what's going on? And a little bit more. And a little bit more. And can you decide to be imperturbable about the results of your actions, of your loving, whether it works your way or not? Can you just be imperturbable about what happens? And more. And even more. And how does that feel? Does that feel a little bit more self-empowered? Like you're not needing something from somebody else, leaving you feeling, I'm sufficient as I am. Notice that. It's just a feeling of more completeness. I can be happy no matter what. Isn't that empowering? Now this right here is a clue, an experience firsthand that love is power. Because now you're being more authentically loving without wanting something. And the first immediate effect is you just feel more centered, more balanced, more peaceful, more self-sufficient, more empowered. And this is always the first step, is just that nice feeling internally. And all you have to do is just keep doing what you're doing to get yourself here. Because this is better than where we started a few moments ago, right? Notice if you're more positive now than when we started. And if you just keep doing this, keep moving in this direction, getting more positive than what you're experiencing internally, you'll see proves out externally. You'll find that harmony. You'll see for yourself with no uncertainty at all that when you are genuinely, authentically loving, then any problem that you have, no matter how big or extreme that problem is, it disappears immediately when that love is complete. And this is the start. This is proving it to yourself. And this is what counts. It's not what you say, it's what you can prove. So if you're feeling more positive now, keep moving forward. Don't just stop here and go, okay, this is nice, and then go back to the way we normally do things. You know, how we normally operate in the world. You know how that is. If this makes a difference, just doing this for a few minutes, then you got to keep doing it. Keep letting go. Keep removing any negativity as soon as it comes up. Just drop it right on the spot. You can do it. You see how easy it is. And if you keep doing it, then you're going to get results. So keep practicing this. And do me a favor. If this is helpful to you, let me know by hitting the like button below and by sharing this video. Share it with others that might resonate with this and that could benefit from this. I think they'll be really grateful to you, and I'll certainly be grateful to you to help expand and share this consciousness across the world. All right, so do that, and I'll see you on the next video. Lots of love.